Bob Cusack, editor-in-chief of The Hill, is here with us to talk about all of this. Bob, thanks for being here. So listen, the Trump-Cruz feud continues to escalate. Is Donald Trump starting to feel the pressure? I mean, he's added more campaign events today, four in total. Is Ted Cruz getting under his skin?
Well, Vlad, I certainly think this is a key time for Donald Trump. He was expected to win Iowa, did not win Iowa, finished a disappointing second, Marco Rubio a strong third. So is New Hampshire a must-win for Donald Trump? Yes, absolutely, because he's been winning by 24, 25 points in recent polls. Now, I think that he is, without a doubt, still the favorite in New Hampshire, and he's not going to win by 24 points. I don't think he has to. I think he just has to win, by 5, 6 points or more. That would be big for Donald Trump. Now, other people like Jeb Bush and Kasich, Christie, I think they've got to finish in the top 3 or their candidacies are in serious, serious trouble.
If Trump doesn't win, though, is he done?
I think he could be done, Christine. I mean, he has just had so many high expectations. He's been touting his performance in the polls. And should he lose New Hampshire, which has been the state he's been winning by far the most, that would be devastating to Donald Trump. And I think that doesn't mean he would get out, because maybe he could make a comeback in South Carolina. But the momentum that he has amassed over the last 6 months would just vanish.
So Marco Rubio is ascending. He's got the big momentum. I've been saying this all week. The big Mo, as George H.W. Bush used to call it, out of Iowa. Even though he came in third there, he's ascending very, very strongly in New Hampshire. Though I am intrigued by the fact that he is not going after the frontrunner, Donald Trump. He's been very, very silent on Donald Trump, and thus Trump hasn't turned his attention that much to Marco Rubio. Is that part of the strategy there?
Yes, and he's been taking some incoming fire from the governors, Christie, Kasich, and Bush. So overall, I think that is going to be continuing to be a strategy. He thinks that Donald Trump is not a serious threat to him, not as much as Ted Cruz and others. So I think that Rubio, he's being backed by the establishment now as far as congressional endorsements. Rubio is now ahead of Jeb Bush. So we're seeing a lot of the Rubio supporters in Washington think that, wow, he can actually do very well in New Hampshire, doesn't have to win it, but could be strong going into South Carolina and Nevada, and then going into the SEC primary, Super Tuesday. So there's no doubt about it. Rubio has the momentum, but that can change very quickly next week.
Speaking of momentum, I want to put up that graphic that we just had of the poll numbers once again, and I want to make sure that I heard correctly from my producer that Rubio has now overtaken Cruz. I believe he jumped 0.5%. This is the latest polling here out of New Hampshire. So absolutely, I mean, Rubio seems to be the one with all of the momentum right now.
Yeah, and Cruz doesn't have to do, I think, super well in New Hampshire. He got the big win in Iowa. I think that was a must-win, and I called it a must-win, and he got the win. So I think that he has a lot of momentum from Iowa that will translate into the South. He's very well organized in the South. Cruz has a lot of money, too. So Cruz basically just has to finish, I think, in the top 3 or top 4. That's fine. But he has to do well in South Carolina and going forward in other southern states. But without a doubt, Marco Rubio is the story now, but he has to win. Remember, he finished third in Iowa, and that's something Donald Trump has repeatedly pointed out, that he finished ahead of Rubio in Iowa, but Rubio is getting all the press. But there is no doubt about it that the Washington establishment, the Republican establishment, favors Rubio over Cruz and Trump big time.
So Donald Trump, though, is still tweeting and talking about the fact that Ted Cruz should not have won Iowa. The fact that he's looking sort of backwards and not forwards, could that hurt his campaign, and could it have any effect on the Cruz momentum?
I think this is Donald Trump's playbook. He wants to control the media. He wants to get the headlines. He's doing it again by going after Cruz, portraying him as an unlikable cheat. Now, I agree with you, Vlad, that I don't think he can continue to do this over the next several days into the weekend looking backward. He's got to be looking forward. But he has taken some of the attention away from his disappointing second-place finish. But he does risk the appearance of being a sore loser if he's continually talking about this this weekend.